RMJ movie reviews back again. With this is part of my happy holiday movie review series. Sorry, you guys, I kind of sort of took a week off. I actually missed one movie that I meant to review. I'm not gonna say the name of it because then if I say it, I just have to put it up. But I actually missed one. It was just a rough week. I was just really tired. So sorry, guys. I won't ever jump off the grid like that again. But I'm not doing Neverending Story. I'm doing Neverending Story actually after this one. But I decided this one is on the fly. I actually just found this at Barnes & Noble today, and I had to review it because I've never seen it. It's actually a documentary about Roger Ebert called Life. What's it called? Life Itself. I had heard about this film actually by Steve James, the guy who directed Hoop Dreams back in the mid '90s, and I've never seen Hoop Dreams. Shame on me. I gotta go check it out. But I'd like to. I'm gonna kind of bring this around, and I'm gonna try to keep this review within reason, guys. But I sometimes just can't help myself. I'm already rambling. See, digressing. Okay, so here we go to Life Itself. I grew up watching Siskel and Ebert because back in those days, back in the 80s and throughout the 90s, you could plug the television in your room, point the antenna, and turn the channel thing, and it could just be on. And I remember, if I remember right, I think Siskel and Ebert used to come on Sunday nights back in Cleveland. If I remember right, I think it used to come. I could be wrong, but if I remember right, I think it was Sunday nights at 11:30. I think. I can't remember. I could be right or wrong. I think that was it. But I used to watch Siskel and Ebert. I think as early as I can remember watching Siskel and Ebert was probably, I'd probably say maybe around 1989. 1989 was, remember, when I first started watching them and kind of being aware of it. It was like the late 80s. So I was like either around maybe first or second grade when I kind of started to be aware of them. And I really started watching them really hardcore probably around 1990. 91, probably from 1990 and up. I watched them all the time. One of the first movie reviews I remember seeing was this is what I can remember. I remember seeing a movie review. Well, I remember seeing one for Batman 89, and one of the early one I can remember is actually for Another 48 Hours. And I watched that review. I remember because it was the new Eddie Murphy movie. That was before family friendly Eddie Murphy, but I remember seeing that review, and they tore Another 48 Hours apart. I still remember how bad a review they gave that movie. But, Roger Ebert has always been one of the people who inspired me to even come up with this thing. Now, the whole thing on YouTube now, and I'll do another video about that later, with everybody being a movie reviewer. I don't really know how this whole thing came to fruition. I don't know if it's more about people's passion to actually review films, or is it more has to do with just this social media blogging kind of thing, which in my personal opinion, I think that's what it more has to do with versus whether it really is about people who really love film. I bring that point up because Roger Ebert, that man, what I really liked about this documentary is it goes through his childhood, all the way to his history, like kind of with his mother and his father, and his college days to when his early days at writing for the Chicago Sun-Times, a little bit of his personal life to the Siskel and Ebert show, and then the later part of his life to his death. But this man was first and foremost a lover of film. Through and through, straight to the core. He loved films. He loved to write about films. I've taken many film appreciation. Well, not many. I've only taken 2 in my college career. And I don't know quite if I really even still understand this whole thing of film criticism and all of that. Because even like when I do my channel here, I just kind of give just my thoughts and feelings about it. I still don't really understand those concepts of film criticism. So like when I read Roger, and I've been reading Roger Ebert's reviews for years. I mean, I read them way back when I was in middle school. I actually bought a book, I think it was in 1999 or 2000. I actually still have it at my mother's house. I gotta go and get it. It's kind of wrinkled up now. But it's a book that all these movie reviews he had up until the year 2000, and I read that book faithfully. But this man was a lover of film through and through, and the way he talked about films, the way he dissected films, the way he just broke them down. I didn't always agree with everything he said, but there were times when, I mean, there was times when he'd be so spot on with some reviews, and I'd just be like, damn, he hit the nail on the head. And then there'd be other times where I kind of be like, maybe you're being a little pretentious here, which the documentary does touch on that, you know, Roger was an only child. You know what I mean? So he was kind of, you know, a little bit, you know, he had run the, I think it's the Pulitzer Prize. I think I could be wrong. Sue me, guys, if I am wrong. But, you know, he was really that was kind of his thing. You know, he was such a great writer. He kind of had a little bit of a big head on his shoulders, but he was also flawed too. You know what I mean? He was a drunk. You know, he was an alcoholic for me. He was a good old boy. You know what I mean? You know, the newspaper guys would go to the bar and they knock him back and get drunk. And, you know, he was very dysfunctional with the women that he dated and the girls that he might have paid. I think he did have a little bit of a call girl fetish. It's kind of a little bit implied there in the documentary. I don't know if a call girl fetish, but he did kind of mess around with the ladies that you have to pay. And I did not realize that he actually wrote part of the screenplay for Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. I never knew that. That was really cool. And he really was just a lover of film. He loved every ounce of what he did. And he was also friends with a lot of celebrities. He actually broke that line of just, I'm going to be the film critic. I'm going to watch the movie. He was friends with a lot of these people. It was a very fascinating documentary. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And what I really liked about it is that he was a regular human being, just like the rest of us, who had his flaws, but he just was so passionate about writing about films. And it just, man, I guess what I got from the documentary was just how just, if you're passionate about something, you just, that passion and that love of something really can just spread throughout the rest of your life. It was a really fascinating documentary to me. I just really enjoyed every minute of it. And then to see his relationship with Gene Siskel, which they weren't even really friends in the beginning. It was very, because, you know, Gene Siskel came from, I believe it was the Chicago Tribune, which was supposed to be more like big kind of scale, and the Chicago Sun-Times was more kind of like just like down-to-earth blue-collar guys. So they were kind of clashed a little bit. And they had a very complex love-hate relationship, which before his death, and you know, they really grew to really love each other. You know what I mean? A very, very fascinating, interesting relationship. And I didn't realize that both of these guys were kind of living a little wild life. You know, one was a drunk. I didn't realize that Gene Siskel used to kick it at the Playboy Mansion. They got photos of this guy. The funniest thing, I never would have thought that guy was like that. Hysterical stuff, man. Great documentary. I really, really enjoyed it. I really seriously, and also before I end this review, I'd really like to talk about the last aspect of his cancer. The cancer that eventually, you know, he had to have his jaw removed and the surgeries and all that stuff. And I love how the documentary really, it gets real about when you're taking care of family members or loved ones when they are seriously ill and they're dying. I mean, it's you know, I see this stuff all the time, and it's as heavy as, and a documentary kind of touches upon, it really delves into it a lot more than I thought it would. So it kind of delves into that heaviness a little bit. But it's as heavy, if not 1,000 times more than what the documentary kind of touches on. But I'm glad that the documentary really touches on that day-to-day struggle of, are you dying, are you not? How it affects the family who are taking care of people who are dying. It's heavy stuff. I kind of started to get a little it hit close to home, that part of the documentary for me. But it was just I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend this documentary to people who are like myself, who really, YouTubers out there, whatever, people who really love film. And I'm not talking about people who, they're part of this whole social media thing and they just want to do the YouTube thing because you can get channel hits and all of that and just grow your channel. This documentary is for people who love film. And film is a part of their core. They either love to write about it, they love to write movies, they love to act, whatever, they love film. You know what I mean? And that's who I think this documentary is really for. You know, and a part of the documentary I love this kind of touched upon is how kind of the old school movie theaters, the big movie lights, and I love how he touches upon how people share the experience of going to the movie theater, how everybody's equal when they're in that theater, they're sharing the experience all together. You know what I mean? I really love that part. That's kind of what resonates with me too about films and entertaining people and all that kind of stuff. But I loved how they kind of touched upon how a lot of that has been lost in the love of film with all this internet and all of that. And you know, digressing a little bit, I'm not really quite sure if that's the one thing that I kind of get slightly disappointed about with kind of the YouTube movie reviewers or whatever. I'm not really sure if I'm seeing people who really love film and feel film is a part of their core and all of that. As much as I'm just seeing people who just want to get channel hits, you know. And you know, maybe I'm being judgmental, but that's just my opinion on it. You know, I am somebody who loves film, so that's where I'm coming from with it, and that's why this documentary really resonated with me. I was actually full on excited when I saw like stuff like Roger Ebert at the Cannes Film Festival. He's talking with Robert De Niro and he's talking with Joe Pesci and it's just fascinating stuff. So you know, I highly recommend the documentary to lovers of film. But thumbs up my video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and leave comments down below about life itself, Roger Ebert, Siskel and Ebert, the television show. We'll talk about that. My next movie review is going to be, Happy Holiday movie review is going to be The Never-Ending Story from 1984, directed by Wolfgang Peterson. RMJ Movie Reviews, I'll see you guys soon.